What is up, YouTube? It's CS back here with another installment, and here's another top 5 video. This one is on the top 5 busts in UFC history. Alrighty, y'all. Now, when I'm referring to busts in this video, it's people who've had hype in other promotions and have come over to UFC and basically have looked less than stellar. Some of them aren't in the UFC anymore. So I'm not going to mention dudes who've had hype within the organization and ended up sucking later on. So I'm not going to mention Brandon Vera or Josh Grisby or Joe Stevenson. I'm not going to mention those guys. I'm going to mention, dudes have come over from overseas or whatnot. So let's take a look at who we got starting at number 5. Alright, coming in at number 5, Takanori Gomi, of course, the lightweight great from Japan. The guy was a sprawl and brawl machine in his heyday. He would use his pretty good wrestling ability to keep fights on the feet and just be able to land bombs on people. That was his thing. In my opinion, technically average in his boxing, but he hit hard, and he still hits hard, and I still think he's a good wrestler, but he hasn't exactly evolved as a fighter ever. He's the same dude from like 5 years ago, and for the most part, the talent pool in lightweight has got vastly deeper, and guys are just pretty much better comparing the top 10 now compared to the top 10 5 years ago. I'm pretty sure every division has evolved. Especially lightweight, I think it's probably the most stacked. A lot of elite fighters there. So it makes sense for someone like Takanori Gomi to come from Pride, and in Japan, he was basically on his way down because, he ran into some inconsistency late in his career before joining the UFC. So when he goes to the UFC with that inconsistent, record as of late, he goes in against a guy like Kenny Florian and gets outclassed. That makes sense. Then he somehow snuck away with a victory against Tyson Griffin. Tyson Griffin, if he fought correctly, probably would have won that fight. He chose to stand and bang with Gomi. Gomi clipped him. He went down. We didn't see the best Tyson Griffin that night. And I think the best Tyson Griffin beats the best Gomi, because the best Gomi, I still think is around. He just hasn't evolved. And then you saw him against Clay Guida. And people were actually picking Takanori Gomi, which is why he's on this list, because people still have expectations for the guy, or had expectations for the guy, not too long ago. So, that's why I put him on this list. Someone from back then, coming over now, and people are picking him against top 10s like Clay Guida. So yeah, he makes this list. Number 5 on my list, Takanori Gomi. All right, now moving on, we got Denis Kang, of course, the middleweight. Canadian middleweight, the Super Korean. He's an exciting ass fighter, offensively capable on the ground and on the feet, but defensively he's not too great, doesn't have the best chin. That question is hard as well. He crumbled in the second round against, Belcher and Bisping. What can I say? Or was it third round against Belcher? I can't remember. But yeah, basically in the UFC you saw that dude, he hasn't dropped around, in my opinion, and he was winning the fights up until he did lose them. The Belcher and the Bisping fight. So what can I say? Bisping, he had him in round 1, and then he just let you go. Story of his career, inconsistency. He never, get it together when he need to most, in the big fights. Belcher is a big fight. Belcher is an outstanding middleweight, in my opinion. So is Bisping. And he just couldn't get it done against those guys. And a lot of people were picking him to beat guys like that. So, what can I say? Denis Kang at one time was thought of to be, a potential top 5 middleweight in the UFC. And where's he at now? So, yeah, Denis Kang is on this list at number 4. Alright, now next up on this list, Rameau Thierry Sokoudjou, the African assassin. Guy is an exciting fighter. What can I say? He has that judo and boxing background. He had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. When you finish both Ricardo Arona and Antonio Rogério Nogueira emphatically and come to UFC, it's no surprise that you are a favorite against a dude who's already had 3 wins straight in UFC, in Lyoto Machida. A lot of people were picking him to win that fight. And he lost by arm triangle. What can I say? Lyoto Machida quickly put his, hype train to rest. And then Luis Kane helped do that too, by finishing him as well It's just Sokoudjou also a very capable offensive fighter. You know, he hits hard. You know, he implements a power game decent in the clinch. His chin's not the greatest. Cardio's not the greatest. His submission defense definitely not the greatest. He's lost by sub twice, I think. And I'm pretty sure every time he's lost, he's got finished. So, you know, someone found a chink in his armor, has been able to expose it to the point where he got finished. So, Sokoudjou just, you know, he was getting it done previously before he came to UFC, and when he came there, he looked less than stellar, getting finished against, you know, guys like Kane and Machida. Both of those guys are very good fighters, and yeah, you know, in my opinion, skill set wise, chin wise, he's a middle of the pack guy, and he was facing dudes who are, you know, top 15 and higher, and those guys, no surprise why he lost. But to me, he's still a bust because people had expectations for him. So for me, number 3, Sokoudjou. Number 2 on this list, you know, you gotta say him, Jorge Santiago. Very electric fighter. Pretty darn good kickboxer. Pretty technical. Has you know, knockout power. And him as a grappler, very good grappler. Yeah, outstanding submissions in my opinion. You know, he's pretty flashy on the ground. Although, you know, there's times where he should just get to the ground and just oblige us to stand, which I think is stupid due to the fact that he has a glass-ass chin. You know, you've got knocked out by a featherweight before in Manny Gambirian. Like, that's saying something, you know. Stand with this guy and you have a pretty good shot to win. Offensively on the feet, he's capable. Defensively, I think he's capable. I think he's capable as well on the feet. But when you do hit him, he will go down. Look what happened with, you know, Chris Lieben, Alan Belcher, Brian Stan lately. You know, every time he's gone to UFC, it's his chin that's let him down. And, you know, a lot of people still consider him top 10. I don't because of his chin. I'd even pick Michael Bisping to finish him due to the fact that, you know, his chin ain't that good. I know people criticize Bisping for his power, but I think he'd be able to just find a chink in, you know, Jorge Santiago's, you know, stance and just expose him and then just, you know, make him look silly. So it's just unfortunate. This guy has a great ball of talent, and his chin has let him down. And because of that, he is a bust, which is sad because he's been able to get it done, you know, in Sengoku, and a lot of other places, but when he comes to UFC, his chin has exposed him time in and time again, and because of that, he's number 2 on my list. Alright, now moving on to number 1 on this list, pretty easy. Gotta go with Mirko Filipovic, aka Mirko Cro Cop. The guy came to the UFC when the heavyweight division was in shambles. The championship was pretty much up for grabs. You know, dudes in the heavyweight division back then, you know, 2007-ish, were ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like straight out of, you know, Frank Mir got out, you know, knocked out by Brandon Vera. Tim Sylvia was running shit kind of era, you know what I'm saying? And to lose to dudes at the time was not a good look. You know, Gabriel Gonzaga, you shouldn't be losing to a dude like that. For the most part, you've been able to keep it standing with grapplers, you know, and been able to outpoint him on the feet or knock him out. I understand Gonzaga has power and shit, and Cro Cop's been knocked out before. But Cro Cop arguably hits harder. Was arguably more aggressive at the time, and he was just technically better. And you let Gonzaga do that to you, and that was out of character for Gonzaga at the time. So you lost to that. Alright. A gimme fight for him. The next fight, Czech Congo. Someone you should be able to let your hands fly against, and for the most part I think is technically better than Congo and his power rivals Congo, and I think if he fought like the way he did in Pride, he should beat Congo. No, instead he gets outpointed by Congo. For some reason, in matchups that have favored him in the UFC, he hasn't been able to get it done. Like, what can I say? That's not a good look. Then he faces, you know, dudes like Dos Santos, gets wrecked. Like, what can I say? His best win, arguably against Pat Barry, because pretty sure he's the only dude in UFC that he's beat that's still employed. and he was losing the fight up until then, until Pat Barry chose to stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? So, Cro Cop, I don't know. It's sad because the guy was one of the best in Pride, and he was beating, straight up goons, Vanderlei Silva, Josh Barnett, Kevin Randleman, guys like that. And then he comes to UFC and he's losing to Czech Congo. I don't know, man. I think, in my opinion, that's a bust because this guy was a favorite to win the heavyweight division at the time, and he just straight up ended up becoming a UFC sub 500 fighter. So number 1 on this list, Mirko Cro Cop. Alrighty, y'all. Well, that's about it for my list. What do you guys think? Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if not. It's just a quick top 5 video that I want to throw out there. Something I was thinking about, due to have disappointed. I just felt like reminiscing, so I made this video. So hopefully you guys liked it. And if you didn't, just tell me about it. If you have any thoughts, just leave me it in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you for the support once again. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do if you are down, and my links are in the description below as well. So check those out, and I guess I'll see you later. Again, thank you for all the support. Take care.